And we are live. Okay. Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone who's joined the Playbook today on our YouTube channel. We are streaming live, and today with me, I have Mrs. Ramandeep Kaur, as you can see. Today, I will be I'm usually the mentor here, but today I am an interviewer for Mrs. Kaur. My name is Kuratul Ann, and it's a little difficult to pronounce. So you can just call me Ann, and I work with the Playbook, privileged to work with the Playbook. Let me just quickly introduce Mrs. Kaur to everyone present here today. So we have been in touch and in communication with Mrs. Kaur for quite some time now, because we have had her wards studying and learning and interacting with us. She is an early childhood educator, content and curriculum developer, and a teacher trainer. Okay, she's been an education blogger who speaks her mind and been in the industry for speaking about open-mindedness in education. Conducted numerous workshops talking about neuroplasticity, varied aloud, storytelling, and the likes to spread awareness about learning through multiple intelligence awareness. Oops, I'm sorry. So
yes,
she even had the privilege of being the finalist speaker at the Educators Speak, an exclusive event for educators in Bangalore school groups in 2021. Also associated with the ECDF Pinnacle Education Award in the category of Best Innovation in Early Learning and Child Development in 2021. Very, very warm welcome, ma'am. And I now hand it over to you. Please tell us all that you know so that people like us and so many parents who are out here can benefit from your expertise. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Anne, for such a warm welcome. First of all, I'd like to extend my thanks to Varun and the Playbook team who approached me for such a wonderful session on parenting, because I always love enjoying giving presentations where I can reach out to masses, where I can share my learnings. So before I begin, I'd like to start and share an incident with you, which happened with me a couple of days ago. So I was offered a role of a counselor by an XYZ organization. So the role wasn't clear what exactly the role caters to. So when I had a discussion with a concerned person, so the person mentioned that this is a counselor role for children. So I asked them, why do you need a counselor? So that person mentioned, because we have behavior children with us. So my next question was, what do you mean by behavior children? What do you mean by behavior children?
This is an institution which wanted you to
be a
counselor with them.
Yeah.
Because schools have opened now and all of that.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, that person asked that, this is going to be a role where you need to counsel children who have behavioral issues. So I asked him that, what do you mean by behavior? He said, a lot of tantrums children throw these days. I said, okay, but I would rather, counsel parents rather than counseling children, because that's where the root stands for.
Yeah.
That's the half of the work done. I would like to meet parents and counsel them rather than be with children. So I didn't take up that role, and something was there in my mind. And after a few days, Varun approached me that, ma'am, we want a session on parenting from your side. So I think everything happens for a reason. And here I am in front of you for a parenting session. Yes. So I am Ramandeep Kaur, and as already Anne has mentioned so much about myself, so I would like to say a one-liner that, yes, I'm a proud parent of 2 young talented boys, an educator, and a fitness freak. And I'm here to share my learnings and insights which I have gathered over the years as an early child educator and as a content and curriculum developer in the field of education. Okay. So let me begin with my presentation.
I have a presentation, right? So members of the audience, parents, if you have any questions, please drop it in the comment section, of course. And at the end of the session, we're going to address as many questions as possible.
So is my screen visible?
I think it'll just take a moment.
Now?
Not yet, not yet.
Okay. Share again.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it visible now?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So once again, I welcome all of you for the session on parenting. So the topic of the parenting session is discuss, don't instruct. Well, we are 21st century parents, and indeed, we need best for our children. But serving everything on the platter, catering to their every need, and protecting them like a gatekeeper would not serve the purpose. If we call ourselves 21st century parents, we need to equip ourselves with certain skills where we can empower our children. We can be better at parenting. There are various stages in child's development, and each and every stage is equally significant in terms of holistic development. Research shows that 80% of the brain development takes place at the age of 3. Just like child has various stages, what about parenting styles? Parenting style also need to have different changes. We need to upgrade ourselves every year with every stage, different stage which child is going through. If we don't do it, we are lacking ourselves in certain skills. And parenting isn't hard, it is an ongoing process. Let me share one incident with you. A couple of years back, while I was an earlier educator, I was taking care of the class kindergarten, and a child, it was in my class, he had some issues in writing. He was not able to hold a pencil. So that means his problem area was we had to work on his grip. That means we had to work on his fine motor skills. Until and unless we work on his muscles of the fingers, the child will face difficulty in writing. Now, when an educator identifies a problem or a pain area of a child, the first and foremost thing is to inform the parent, because the parent also needs to be informed. Now, when this particular issue was informed to a parent, the parent was adamant to accept that his or her child has this particular issue. Is this the right thing to do? Why we are so adamant in accepting things? The only thing is we need to work on that particular area of the child. Until unless we don't work, we won't get results. And it happened in a similar manner. The work was done in school, but was not at home. So the result was just 50%. But after an year, when the parent was counseled properly and he started working on the child, the result was miraculous. That's what parents need to be empowered. They need to understand that child may have different areas where he needs help. He needs to improve. We need best in our children. We need best in every sphere of the child. But what about our areas of development? We need to work on the child every single day. No doubt, parents are under huge pressure in this new normal, especially, and they have to balance work-life balance. But there are certain ways where we can handle this pressure and we can use different strategies and keep an eye out for some sort of development habits which we need to understand that the child is going through, because the child is developing so fast physically, mentally, and the changes are developing at certain level that even you won't be able to understand. So what is the solution? We need to figure it out as parents. We need to understand the child. We need to observe his behavior. We need to be with him when he requires the most.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
With regard to this. So, do you think kids often mirror and reflect the behavior of the parent? Like, if the parent is ziddi, if the parent is, very like, oh, I'm saying you have to do this and you have to do this. So the child is more likely to be equally, stubborn is the word, I think. Like, if is that how some of it works?
Yes, it does happen because that's what genetic makeup is all about. Genes is what hereditary we call that travels from parent to offspring.
So this happens in
So
behavior also. It plays a role.
it depends upon how the parent is acting as a role model.
Okay.
If the parent is a very good reader, he's devoting time in reading good books. Obviously, the child will definitely adapt that habit
Pick it up.
himself.
Yeah.
So it's like the parent has to be a role model. You have to model good behavior. If you want good behavior, you need to model good behavior.
Okay. Please carry on.
Yeah. And of course, children doesn't come with instruction manuals.
Okay.
There isn't any manual that this is written for a child and this is done. Yes. When a child is born, a parent is also born. That doesn't mean that you have acquired the skills. The skills need to be acquired. That's why parenting workshops are necessary and crafted for parents to learn upskill their knowledge of parenting. So let's refresh our parenting skills. So what are the 21st century skills which we need to understand that as per McKinsey, recent research shows that apart from academics, there are certain other skills which a child needs. Critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity. Just confining to the marks is not going to be enough. But are we ready to equip ourselves with these 21st century skills? Are we ready to accept that, yes, if the child is not good at academics, he might be a very good artist? Why not? Let me give you one example. Like, for example, if a child is very good in arts, why not take him to an art museum and show him different styles of paintings? Show him different kind of media where paint can be done, and different kind of media, and along with that, different resources and tools that can be used to create that art. It can be brushes, it can be sponge, it can be anything, it can be different kind of tools. Why not teach him to convert trash into something creative? So I'm just talking about all the skills which involves critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. How do we indulge in critical thinking in a child? By not providing him the right environment, we are not going to get that skill from a child. The child might be very good problem solver. He might be very good in solving mathematical complex problems, but he might not be a good communicator. So we need to work on that particular skill of his. Collaboration.
Okay, I'll just one thing.
Yes.
Because I think I also come from a generation where parents always wanted a safer option for their children in a career. So if and to be honest, the way the world has progressed, especially since COVID happened and all of that, no particular sector was safe. No safe job exists anymore. So when parents, so would you say that we should let the children explore more? Like, co-curricular activities have to be their, like, playing ground, and that's when they discover. Because do you think schools can ever help a child go in, or is it the co-curricular activities which help them broaden their options? Like, okay, I could be a ballet dancer, I could be a piano player, I could be an artist. is the co-curriculars the space which actually helps them? It's just asking your opinion. Like, is that what you think?
Yes, so it's a very good question asked by you, Anne. So nowadays, schools have also adapted certain curriculum where they cater to multiple intelligence of children. So if we talk about academics, so academics is one aspect because we are in a kind of a system where marks play important role. So we cannot deny that fact. And we, if we want to become an IAS engineer, we need to crack the engineering exams and all those competitive exams. So we cannot deny that fact. But yes, what about our passions? What about our hobbies? Because the mindset of the parents and the conditioning is not done that way. That's what I'm trying to say. That if a
So
child
the
is very
have adapted, and it's very good the way the schools are functioning right now. But co-curriculars in schools have also gotten better. You mean?
yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, please carry on.
So coming back to 21st century skills. So it's not that we cannot think out of the box and we cannot nurture that skill in child. It's just we need to change our mindset. I'm not saying that if the child is not good at academics, take him out and do whatever he wants to do. It's just we need to understand what exactly his strengths are. We need to work on his strengths. And it's a gradual process. It's not an overnight process. The child, sometimes a child may be very submissive, he might not expressive enough, but we have to drag particular thing from the child, and eventually if we are with him throughout his journey, we will get definitely good results. So one habit which we as parents can inculcate in child is the questioning habit. Let the child ask as many questions as he or she can. Let not confine them to the boundaries that no, this cannot be done. And always be there when they are asking you questions. That is very important. Whenever a child comes to you, give them an answer which makes sense to them. Why, how, when, what? Because children do ask many questions. Every part of their journey of their life, they become inquisitive. They are exploring world, and children are born scientists. They explore things. When they are young, there's a lot of breakage happening in the kitchen. That also they are exploring because that's also a science experiment. They are putting things into the water. Sometimes the things are floating, sometimes they're sinking. That is also a science. It's just we don't have to create a barrier that and draw a line that yes, your learning stops here. Your learning cannot go outside this particular boundary.
Encourage questioning in all aspects.
You want to ask something?
No, I was just repeating what I'm just for the audience which is watching us on YouTube live. Thank you for your time here, and we're going to continue with this, but please shoot in all your questions. And like Mrs. Kaur just said, that please let them ask the questions. Let them ask as many questions as they want in whatever field. And ma'am, please continue. I'll let you continue.
Yeah. Yes. So when I mentioned about multiple intelligence, so this is one particular area. So there was a famous scientist called Howard Gardner who developed this theory of multiple intelligence. And these days, some schools have adapted this curriculum. They have created the curriculum based on multiple intelligence. There are various intelligence in child. Like for example, if I talk about myself, if you try to teach me something, maybe I'm an explorer. I'm a kinesthetic learner, we call it. I like to explore. I like to do demonstrations, and then I might learn things. I don't understand what you're trying to say by just saying. I might do it myself. But at times, parents, what do they say? What do they say? They say, my child, he's very restless. He doesn't sit at one place. He's not restless. He has a lot of energy. We need to channelize that energy. That's what he's a kinesthetic learner. So we need to find out ways to channelize his energy. Linguistic. A child may be a very good orator. Why not put him into a literary club and hone his or her skills? Logical. Child applies very good logic, maybe in maths or any other situation, any problem solving. Visual, where he can observe things very keenly. He's a very keen observer. Musical. A child can be very good at music. His concentration develops when he learns music. Everybody cannot learn music, but he can. Intrapersonal and interpersonal. He's very good in developing bond intrapersonal within the same community. Interpersonal with different people. Naturalist. The child loves to be in the nature. He likes to explore. He likes to observe nature, observe trees, his surroundings. But the only thing is we need to understand the child's skill. So it's a beautiful learning of multiple intelligence. It's just we need to observe what exactly the child is good at. Until unless we are not aware, that's why parenting workshops are meant for, to upskill ourselves, to learn what can be a good strategy for me as a parent to apply to the child so that he or she can be taken out of that particular situation, or maybe his area of success of ladder can be improved. There are certain other ways where we can do a lot in parenting. Table talk. We'll have lots of discussion. How many times do we have food together and have a lot of discussions happening? We need to create that environment at home where the child is given opportunity to brainstorm the ideas. Needs versus wants. This is something which each and every parent should draw a line for. The child can't be given each and everything he asks for. We need to draw a line. These are needs and these are wants. Needs are things which we must have to survive. We cannot live without them. But what about our wants? Wants are things that we would love to have or like to have. But is it necessary that every time a child demands, we need to fulfill that? No, it's not necessary. So we need to have a sternness and we need to create that environment where the child is given the opportunity to solve his problems himself. There are certain families where every wish of the child is fulfilled. We are actually enemies in that particular case. Don't do that. Don't spoil the child by making and providing him all the luxuries. Make the child financial literate, which is very important. One person which talks about financial literacy is Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett mentions that before he became the CEO, he started earning by doing some handful of small businesses and starting at age 6, where he purchased a 6-pack of Coke for just 25 cents. So we need to guide the children about the pocket money, about how savings are important, and we cannot provide you each and everything. So we need to say no to the child. We cannot protect them every time like a gatekeeper and give them everything on the platter. So the child will stop working. Of course, family time, whether it is meal time or game time, how often do we make it a grand event that there has to be all the members of the family together? We need to play either board game or anything, because it also involves a lot of team building, collaboration, communication, and social bond. Reading, one such thing, and one thing which you can pass on to your children is reading habit. How often do you read with your children or discuss the kind of books you read? But reading doesn't mean a wrong kind of content. You must have good content at home, the surroundings, wherever you have your library or magazines. The book should invite the child to become a reader, to increase his knowledge, and to
it does. I think it does become a little difficult to monitor what the kids are reading, especially with the internet, because for the playbook.fun platform, all of our content is thoroughly checked. Before we publish anything, it goes through this expert team where they analyze everything and make sure that it's fit for kids' eyes and for them to read. But at home, especially, it's quite possible that they have access to books and they have a lot of free time when someone's not watching. So I think it gets a little difficult to check what a child is constantly reading, because once they can read, like it's endless. They can read anything after that. They have the tool and they can do whatever they want with it. So
Yes.
I completely agree with this one. To check what content is being consumed, it's very important.
Absolutely. And last, be empathetic. So empathetic, actually, I recently came across this word, I would say a year back. And there was one book which is called Hit Refresh by Satya Nadella, which actually changed my perspective. Satya mentions that, if you read that book, that Satya mentions that how being empathetic changed his whole life. His child was diagnosed with a medical condition. And how the whole perspective of him taking Microsoft to the pinnacle, it all changed. What he was before the child was born and after the child was born was a different personality altogether. When he was interviewed for his job, the first question the interviewer asked was not related to coding or engineering. He asked, Satya, what would you do if you see a child crying in the middle of the road? You know what Satya replied?
No idea.
Satya said, I will dial 911. So the interviewer said, no, Satya, you will not do that. You'll pick up the child and stop him crying. That is what empathy is. Looking through the child's eyes.
Yeah.
Understanding what he is going through. And be compassionate and putting that empathy into action. So be empathetic. That is one thing which we all parents should be. The child might be going through some kind of a stress, or maybe he's not performing well in exams. Try to understand what exactly is happening rather than putting your words in front of him. So that is what empathetic is.
Okay.
And last, every child is a different kind of a flower, and all together makes this world a beautiful garden. So with this, I end my presentation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your screen. I think we can pause it now.
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Ramandeep Kaur. So we have had parents who are following up on questions and they have a lot to ask, but I'll try and keep it short because I know it's been 30 minutes already. So let's pick two. One which catches my attention a lot is that they say thank you for sharing all the tips and tricks that you did. But is there any one or two things which you would encourage parents to take up apart from the reading and the family time? Like, is there some talk or some talk of encouragement or something like sitting down with a child and explaining to them about emotional intelligence or something like that? What is there something that a parent needs to sit and explain to a child that, this is how you can address your feelings, don't let them just go, or something like that? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I would definitely. That is related to emotions, how to manage emotions. Many a times it happens that the child is unable to express himself or herself because the child doesn't know how to manage his or her emotions. So that is where the child's personality also starts changing if that is not managed. So one thing which can be done in this particular case is the only thing, first of all, the parent has to be a good listener. What is going inside in the child's mind? So he has to understand if the child is not able to express, just be empathetic listener, first of all. Be compassionate. And eventually find out a solution that why is it happening with him. And yes, definitely work on his or her strengths. Work on his self-esteem, what he is or she is good at. I mentioned one incident where the child's grip wasn't fine, so his self-esteem was also low at that time. The moment that particular area was catered, his self-esteem automatically grew.
Thank you for that. And there is just one more. This one is about how can parents, like you've mentioned about being supportive, understanding, listening, and things. All of these are very good points, but sometimes we cannot intervene in the peer pressure that kids get when they're younger. Of course, when they grow up, they can address it, they identify it, but little things sometimes make them really upset, and we cannot understand what is making them so stressed. So how do you think we can help them deal with peer pressure in their formative years, when they are like in, let's say, when they're comparatively younger, not yet teenagers but about to be there, something like that?
So that you mean to say that children are not able to share, or
yeah, they are not able to
Okay.
share, and they're thinking about stuff which is happening at school, or maybe at their gym class or sports class, things that are happening which maybe they're not a part of a bigger group, they feel secluded. So is there some way that we can
Yes. So,
encourage?
there is just one sentence which I would like to mention, that because why children has stopped sharing. The child has to have that bond with the parent that he should be sharing everything. We should be that means we need to work on that particular area. If the child has stopped sharing, that means maybe you have scolded him at certain point of time by not doing certain things, so he has stopped sharing, and that is something very dangerous, where when this starts happening, the children tends to go astray. They tend to do certain things which are not right. So sharing and listening to the child, so we need to work on that area, that we need to be a good active listener, where the child must be sharing each and everything with the parent. Not minute things, but at least certain things which is bothering
what all
him
is
or her.
happening in his or her life.
Yes,
That should be
that bond should be there.
change.
If not with both the parents, at least with one.
Yeah, I get that. All right. With that, we come to the end of our discussion with Mrs. Ramandeep Kaur, educator and a very profound mentor in the field of parental education, which is so necessary because, like she said, talking just to a child who has a particular behavioral pattern is not enough, right? We have to talk to the other significant part of this whole parent-child relationship, which of course are the parents. So everybody who came here, thank you so much for your time. And the Playbook has these amazing sessions going on. Our schedule is up on all our social media. Stay tuned for so much more amazing stuff. And thank you so much, Mrs. Ramandeep Kaur, for being with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anne, and thank you so much, Playbook and team.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Audience, thank you so much for your time, audience. Bye-bye. See you all soon. The meeting shall now end. Okay.